Tonight on CTV News at 6. Just days after a murder in the Sioux, a large police presence nearby the crime scene. It's become a target for thieves.
2 perpetrators, masked, entered the store illegally through my front door and proceeded to quickly steal 3 bikes from the store.
A sports store in Timmins was broken into not once, but twice in the same morning. And he's the former Premier of New Brunswick and Canada's ambassador to the U.S.
We have differences, but they're not so profound that we can't talk to each other.
Frank McKenna speaks to a business-friendly crowd in Sudbury.
CTV News at 6 with Tony Ryma and Rick Wyman with weather.
Good evening. So glad you are with us on this Tuesday. An update on the train derailment just outside of Sultan near Chapleau. OPP say no injuries have been reported and area roadways remain open. No hazardous materials were on board, and OPP currently have no safety concerns for the surrounding communities. Information is limited, but CTV is following the story. A heavy police presence in Sault Ste. Marie earlier today as officers continue their investigation into a recent homicide. Police executed a search warrant this morning in the 200 block of McNabb Street. Investigators and forensics personnel could be seen entering an apartment complex. The building is just 1 street over from Poplar Avenue, where police held a scene over the weekend. On Saturday morning, a person was taken to hospital where they were pronounced dead. While police did connect today's presence on McNabb with the murder, no other updates were given. A 77-year-old has been killed after an ATV crash north of Sudbury yesterday. OPP are investigating the collision that happened on Old Portelong-Gervais Lumber Road, 55 kilometers north of Capreol. The driver was found dead at the scene. $33,000 in illicit drugs were seized during a traffic stop in Sudbury. Police say patrol officers pulled a vehicle over on McKim Street around 2:30 this morning. They found open alcohol in the vehicle and proceeded to search the vehicle, finding cocaine and cash. The driver and 2 passengers have been charged with trafficking. Meanwhile, a red-level drug alert has been issued by Northeastern Public Health for the Timmins area. The region has seen a spike in overdoses in the last 2 weeks of August. Public Health is saying the local supply of illegal drugs could be contaminated. A sports store in Timmins has yet again been the target of thieves. O'Reilly's Source for Sports was broken into twice on the same morning. CTV's Lydia Chubak reports.
Over the weekend, O'Reilly's Source for Sports posted this photo from its surveillance footage on its social media page. Early Sunday morning, Riley Heffernan says suspects broke into his store through the front door and took over $15,000 retail worth of high-end bicycles.
Without jeopardizing the ongoing investigation, I could tell you that around 4:40 a.m. 2 perpetrators, masked, entered the store illegally through my front door and proceeded to quickly steal 3 bikes from the store.
But wait, there's more.
So there was a 4th one stolen, 6:26 a.m. A 3rd perpetrator walked by, saw the door wide open, and helped himself.
Heffernan says his business has been broken into about a dozen times over the last 9 years. This time, he says it was a rare occasion. He forgot to set the alarm system.
I made a mistake and I paid for it. Lock it or lose it, if you will. I can't stand that saying. That is a sign that we're living in an unrighteous land. I should be able to leave my front door unlocked. And the only thing I should get is a phone call in the morning from someone saying, hey, I noticed you didn't remember to lock your door.
Heffernan says he plans to make a long-term commitment to this location and says now it's time to beef up security.
I got to turn this place into Fort Knox. I've got to put some bars on the windows, start making some phone calls about security measures to just make this a harder place to target. 2
of 4 bikes have since been found and returned, along with the store's cell phone that was located in the Timmins and District Hospital Emergency Department. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
North Bay police are pleased with the results of deterring crime and social disorder in the core. Police foot patrol hours have more than doubled downtown compared to last year. CTV's Eric Tashner tells us more.
They're definitely out there working.
Acting Deputy Police Chief Jeff Warner is pleased to see that the downtown foot patrol program is working.
But they'll also be addressing issues in other areas of the city, and they'll be in the Ferris area. If we have complaints in the Airport Hill area, they'll be there as well.
It was identified by Chief Darrell Longworth and the Police Services Board as a community need. In 2024, North Bay police officers spent 86 hours walking the beat. For 2025, as of Tuesday, officers have been on downtown foot patrol for approximately 200 hours.
So if we have an area that we see that is suddenly being targeted, the foot patrol would be out. And they'll be out at night too.
Once police staffing levels are back to where the board wants it to be at, 2 officers will be assigned to dedicated full-time foot patrol in the downtown.
Businesses that I've heard from have definitely noticed an increase in the amount of police that they're seeing in the downtown, and that is assisting with the social disturbances.
Crime Severity Index data referenced at Tuesday's board meeting shows both non-violent crime and violent crime dropped in 2024.
This is the first time that I've actually seen the numbers go down. And it's the same time that we have increased our presence, our visibility, and it's the same time that we've really engaged with our community partners.
In mid-June, police opened a downtown office space to increase visibility and for officers to use when they're patrolling the downtown. Warner says it's used on a regular basis.
And also give people the sense that they know that when the vehicle's out front, that there's somebody nearby.
And police are pleased to see the collective effort in addressing downtown issues and disorder.
So I think it all sort of combined has an effect on reducing those numbers of calls for service to us, which certainly helps.
Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
And the North Bay Police Services Board has a new contract with its officers. The North Bay Police Association, which represents police officers, and the board have ratified the agreement. The 3-year deal includes enhancements to mental health and wellness benefits, a 5% raise the first year, a 4.5% raise the second year, and a 4% raise in the final year. Meanwhile, contract talks are just starting between the board and the Senior Officers Association. And Elliot Lakeman has been charged after police responded to a complaint about an indecent act in a plaza near the school. Police were called to a plaza on Hillside Drive yesterday after a witness reported a man in a gray vehicle pleasuring and exposing himself. You can read more on this story by going to our website, CTVNewsNorthernOntario.ca. All right, it's time for our first check on weather. A beautiful day out there. Will this trend continue? Here's CTV's Rick Wyman with that answer.
Tony, for some, yes. For others, no. You're going to get some precipitation in the northeast right now. Our systems map, of course, as that system moves into tomorrow, providing some thunder shower activity, chance of showers. And in other areas, Tony, it's just sunshine. So we'll take a look at the current conditions. Nice night, lots of sunshine right across the northeast. And the temperatures with the humidex values, it's almost like midsummer. So we'll get into that and a lot more. Don't forget our 7-day forecast, and we've got a great pick of the day, some dogs just frolicking out in the open sunshine. So we'll take a look at that and a lot more coming up. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Rick. A former premier and Canadian ambassador speaks to a Chamber of Commerce crowd. Still to come, what did Frank McKenna have to say? Right now, though, we're off to Parry Sound. This is a live webcam courtesy of Northern Creations. It's 24 degrees in Parry Sound. We'll return in just a couple of minutes.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
It was a hopeful message to the Sudbury business community today when a former ambassador and premier spoke about the economy and the current Canada-U.S. relations. We get more from CTV's Angela Gemmell.
Thank your lucky stars every day that you live in this blessed country.
That's how Frank McKenna wrapped up his time in front of a Sudbury audience. The former Canadian ambassador to the U.S. and former premier of New Brunswick said his message offered hope.
We're very blessed in this country. That we have differences, but they're not so profound that we can't talk to each other. And we're not so polarized that we can't do things together. And that at a time when the entire world is going through a lot of pain and suffering, that that we're not immune from it, but we're probably in the best shape of any country on the planet.
McKenna was the guest speaker at the Greater Sudbury Chamber of Commerce luncheon. He's currently the deputy chair of wholesale banking at TD Bank Group.
Not only is Frank very well versed in the financial world, but also has that government take and that government perspective on things that are really affecting the economy on both sides.
A moderator steered McKenna's discussion through a number of economic topics, including trends, tariffs, and Prime Minister Mark Carney. He also spoke about the strained relationship with the U.S., adding that our neighbor to the south needs us.
They are a major market for us, but we're the biggest market for them as well. It is not a one-way relationship. They benefit enormously. Tourism, 34% of their tourism is from us. We have 1,000 nurses a day cross the border to work in the United States. A lot of their commodities come from Canada.
McKenna reminded the audience of about 230 people that Canada is the best place in the world to live right now, and that even though we do have our problems, they pale in comparison to what's happening in other parts of the world. Angela Gemmell, CTV News, Sudbury.
A recent report to Sioux City Council outlined how much work is needed to bring the roads up to a fair or better condition, and it will be expensive. CTV's Corey Nordstrom tells us more.
An update on the state of Sault Ste. Marie roads was brought to City Council at its last meeting, showing both a funding gap and the significant amount of work needed. On what's called the Pavement Condition Index, the average is 53 across the city, fitting in the fair category. Yet a third of roads are in the poor or very poor categories.
Most of our residential roads that have needs for rehabilitation require full reconstruction. Because they're 100 years old, they have no granular base. So that's a pretty big investment for those. We can do pretty well with our main arteries and collectors by resurfacing.
Using an unlimited budget scenario, city staff concluded that $330 million would need to be spent over the next 10 years to bring all road assets to a fair or better condition. Based on the current funding levels, that would mean an increase of $11 million per year. It would represent a 12% bump in this year's tax bill, something Mayor Matthew Shoemaker says just isn't feasible.
I do support putting more into roads, but we're going to have to get there over time with, an additional 0.5 point or 1 point on the tax increase allocated specifically to roads. So that we can do, all the things we're currently doing, improve the road maintenance, and do it in a way that's not going to, make the tax increase unbearable for residents.
Staff say they will be requesting an additional $500,000 during the 2026 budget deliberations to chip away at the funding gap on roads.
$500,000 is a significant amount of money, especially if the investment starts now. It does kind of compile over, it does add up over years. So it's definitely an investment now will pay off in the future and will go towards those initiatives every year in perpetuity.
The recent roads report makes note of the city's significant lack of debt compared to other northern municipalities as a possible answer to address the underfunding of roads. While it wouldn't be used directly for the ongoing roads work, Shoemaker says that if other projects were funded using debt, they could open up more funds to be used on city roads. Corey Nordstrom, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
A coalition of women in politics organizations from Ontario are hosting a free, nonpartisan virtual event to inspire and support women and gender diverse people. CTV's Lindsay Alick has that story.
Lisa Deakin is a councillor in the township of Russell. In 2022, she was approached by Leadership Féminin Prescott Russell if she'd be interested in running for municipal council.
One of the big factors was, of course, the community connections that I had, but also the reality was there were no women on the ballot at that time, and the deadline to get your name on the ballot was fast approaching. So it looked like we were about to have an entirely white male council if I hadn't put my name on it.
According to Politics Now founder, only 37% of Ontario's municipalities are led by women or gender diverse individuals.
Typically, that is usually accompanied by another number that when women and gender diverse people run, they also win at a very high rate. and at a rate that is incredibly impressive. And the number is so low as to why we don't have that kind of representation in our municipal councils, because the reality is that less of them decide to run. That's a variety of reasons. Typically, some of the most common reasons that we hear is that people don't know if they're the right fit for the job because they've never seen anybody that's like them do that job.
That's something these organizations hope to change by hosting the Run Where You Are virtual event.
We have the former Premier of Ontario, Kathleen Wynne, who's going to be sharing her story, her road from municipal politics as a school board trustee into becoming the Premier of Ontario. We also have a panel of women who are currently city councillors or municipal councillors in different capacities from across the province, including some representation from Northern Ontario with Councillor Kristen Murray from Timmins. And I'm hopeful that people are able to at least see themselves represented.
The event is 1 week away on September 23rd at 7 p.m. via Zoom. Over 100 people have already registered for the free session, and Kingsley Mallow says it will not be capped, so it's accessible to all. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
Another northern beer store is closing in November, this time in South River. This is the 7th northern beer store to be shuttered and will close November 16th. The beer stores on Notre Dame Avenue in Sudbury and on Valois Drive in Mattawa are also slated to close in November. Little Current and Noelville will shut down October 18th, and 2 other Sudbury locations were closed over the summer. The North Bay Police Services Board had its meeting this morning, and there was a notable absence around the table. Mayor and board member Peter Chirico was not at the meeting. With the ongoing credit card expense controversy, the Inspector General of Policing has directed Chirico not to perform his duties on the board while the mayor is under investigation. The board chair says both the board and Chirico are complying with the recommendation for the time being.
The mayor is, the board is as well, while the process plays out. I do also want to highlight that he is entitled to a fair and full process, so we don't want to get too far into the weeds on commenting on other people's investigations.
And Chirico is also under investigation by the OPP at the request of the North Bay Police Service. Back now for a check on your current conditions. Here's Rick.
Looking good, Tony, for this evening, of course, with the humidex values, temperatures somewhat higher than the actual normal for this time of the year. Well, we do have some precipitation moving into the northeast by tomorrow. Chance of showers, risk of a thunderstorm in some sectors. We'll get into that during the 7-day forecast. But first, your current temperatures. Let's have a look and see what's happening. Moosonee with the humidex 36, Cochrane 27, Timmins 29, and Kapuskasing 34. Great evening. Chapleau at 30, Wawa 24, and Sault Ste. Marie at 28. Meanwhile, in Parry Sound, 25 again with the sunshine. Nice streak going here this evening. North Bay 26, Temiskaming Shores 29, and the same for Kirkland Lake. For Greater Sudbury, Nickel Belt 28, 28 in Espanola, 27 Elliott Lake, and Gore Bay 25. So all of the areas in northeastern Ontario with sunshine and glorious temperatures, Tony, but that streak will come to an end tomorrow with precipitation, risk of a thunderstorm. We'll get into that and a lot more during the 7-day forecast coming up in a couple of minutes. Back to you.
Thanks, Rick. She's stepping down from cabinet, but not leaving politics. Next on CTV News at 6, Chrystia Freeland is going to serve as a special representative to Ukraine. And in a new session of Parliament, the Assembly of First Nations wants to see action. Former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned from cabinet. She has left to become a special Canadian envoy on Ukraine. Freeland, who is of Ukrainian descent, has been outspoken, condemning Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine and singling out Russian President Vladimir Putin. Freeland was banned and sanctioned by Russia years ago. It comes as Prime Minister Mark Carney has promised deeper Canadian involvement in trying to stop the war. Air Canada says the union representing its flight attendants has requested that mediation be cancelled after members voted against a wage agreement earlier this month. In a statement, the airline says that CUPE asked to dispense with the mediation process and have the wage component go directly to arbitration. Air Canada says it has agreed to the union's request that flights would continue to operate as normal. The Assembly of First Nations outlining today just what it wants to see from the new session of Parliament.
With the new session of Parliament, we are releasing an open letter today to all parliamentarians this week to provide an overview of the legislative priorities of the Assembly of First Nations that we've been discussing with chiefs since the end of June. We are also taking the opportunity to remind all parliamentarians of Canada's legal obligations to First Nations when making decisions that impact our inherent rights, our title, and our treaties.
The AFN's budget report calls for the federal government to focus on investments that will benefit all Canadians, including strategic capital investments to close Canada's $360 billion First Nations infrastructure gap. It's also calling for Ottawa to focus on essential community health services and infrastructure, including an urgent $700 million investment to address the opioid drug crisis on First Nations. A major escalation in the Middle East. The Israeli military says it has begun expanding ground operations in Gaza City overnight as the army launches the next phase of a major offensive against the Hamas militant group. Israel carried out a large wave of airstrikes overnight, with Israel's defense minister saying that Gaza is burning. In the coming days, 2 divisions of the Israeli military are expected to advance into new areas of Gaza City that are currently not under Israeli control. The Israeli military estimates that there are as many as 3,000 Hamas militants still in the city. A United Nations inquiry has found that Israel has committed genocide, saying that top Israeli leaders, such as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, had incited these acts.
The one is the Prime Minister, the other the President, and the third is the former Minister of Defense. And we said that since they acted as agents of the state, then the state of Israel is responsible.
The report found that Israel has committed 4 of the 5 categories of actions that constitute genocide as laid out in the 1948 UN Genocide Convention. The Israeli ambassador to the UN rejects the accusations.
Israel categorically rejects the libelous rant published today by this Commission of Inquiry. It spreads the malicious genocide narrative. The report diverges from the mandate of the Commission, yet again stressing their biased analysis.
And there's more news still ahead, but first, here's your full weather forecast with Rick.
Beautiful night, Tony, as we just mentioned, with some of those temperatures across the Northeast, but there's got to be a spoiler alert with all this happening right now. It can't be perfect forever, as we well know. With weather in the Northeast forecast radar, we've got some rain approaching, and with it, the risk of a thunderstorm, and of course, the chance of showers throughout the Northeast. We'll get to those conditions momentarily, but again, every time we get on a roll with some beautiful weather, you know it has to come to an end. Predominantly clear skies right across the Northeast in Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, Temiskaming Shores, and North Bay. And as well, that trend will continue in Moosonee, Kapuskasing-Hearst, Wawa, just a few clouds. That's okay. Gore Bay clear and Parry Sound clear. Now those numbers that you want to see. 7-day forecast. Sunshine tomorrow at 25. Chance of showers Thursday, 21. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we go from 17 to 18 to 19. Then Monday, chance of showers. Again, you get on a roll with sunshine. Here comes the rain again. Chance at 30% by the beginning of next week. Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, here we go. Chance of showers Wednesday, Thursday, 25 and 21. How about Friday and Saturday? Sun and cloud both days, 16 and 18. Then we go back to the chance of showers at 19 and 18 for next Monday. And again, those temperatures slightly above normal for this time of the year, which is around 16 degrees. A look now at Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing. 60% chance of showers, not 30 or 40, but 60% chance of showers with the risk of a thunderstorm. High of 24, 30% chance on Thursday at 16. That 60 looks like a pretty safe bet. Friday, sun and cloud. Saturday, sun and cloud. Your highs 14 and 18. And again, Sunday, Monday, chance of showers both days. Risk of showers at 30%. 19 and 20 the highs. But again, those temperatures slightly above normal for this time of the year. Here we go now to Miskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake. 40% chance of showers for tomorrow, dropping down to 30 on Thursday with a high of 17, 14 Friday to kickstart the weekend. The overnight low, though, at 0. Sun and cloud continues Saturday, high of 18. Then we're back to the risk of showers Sunday and Monday at 30% both days. Your highs around 19 and 20, again above normal for, well, mid-September. North Bay and West Nipissing, loads of sunshine for tomorrow. It will be a beautiful day with the expected high of 24. Warmer with the humidex, of course. Thursday, chance of showers 23. Friday and Saturday will be great. 17 and 18. Sun and cloud. That trend continues into Sunday at 20, dropping down to 18 Monday with the chance of showers. So again, you're going from some transition weather, rain, back to sun and cloud, back to rain, back to sun and cloud. Let's have a look now at our pick of the day. I love these dogs. Carole Valliere from Chapleau has a couple of dogs, Rambo and Fanny. They're not French dogs, but they're bilingual, and they just like to frolic outside. Merci, Carole. Thank you for that. Perhaps your pick could be on tomorrow for the pick of the day. Hey, stick around. Tony Ryma has more of the news you need to know coming up after the break. It's time now for Ask an Expert, where tonight we find out more about independent living and its direct funding program. Now, the two Northern Ontario centres are the Resource Centre for Independent Living, which covers North Bay, Nipissing, and Parry Sound, and the Disability Resource Centre for Independent Living in Kapuskasing. To tell us more, here's Tammy Gould, the Executive Director at RISE, the Resource Centre for Independent Living in Parry Sound. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here.
Tammy, let's begin. What is the direct funding program and who is it for?
Well, direct funding program, I just want to say, is an innovative program enabling adults 16 years of age and older with permanent physical disabilities to become employers of their own attendants. Different people have different needs. And realizing that, the direct funding program is intended as an option suited to people with permanent physical disabilities who are willing and able to take on the extra management responsibilities and the possible risks of the program for which it demands.
Okay, so how does direct funding put clients in control of their care? This is all, I would assume, all about self-sustaining?
So on direct funding, you become the employer. Typically a person with disabilities who have been living at home for a period of time, and they have outreach services or attendance services through, say, the Ontario Health at Home, which used to be the CCACs and the LIN. Direct funding is a little different. So you become the employer, you take on the full responsibilities of recruiting, hiring, scheduling, and paying your own attendance. You become the employer, determining how and when your services are provided. Available province-wide, the direct funding program enables adults with physical disabilities to receive monthly funds for attendance of their own choosing, to schedule as they please, and whether their needs are at home, at work, or in the community, individuals self-manage their lives, making their own choices with greater flexibility and control.
I like that. Let's wrap up quickly, Tammy. So how can someone apply?
Very easily. If you're interested in applying, you can contact me through RISE, Resource Centre for Independent Living in Parry Sound, at 705-746-6996. And I'd be happy to assist you with an application, or you can download it right from the Direct Funding Ontario website, and you can get the application and the application guide right from the website itself.
Tammy, thanks for doing this. Tammy Gould, the Executive Director at RISE, the Resource Center for Independent Living in Parry Sound. For more information on tonight's segment and past episodes of Ask an Expert, please visit our website at CTV News Northern Ontario.
Thanks, Rick. Canada's oldest brewery is looking ahead to some new changes. But as CTV's Avery McRae tells us, there's a lot of history guiding officials.
For decades, the sound of bottles clanging has been the soundtrack inside St. John's Moosehead Brewery.
We're very proud of our past, but we're always focused on our future and focused on what we need to do next to keep earning the trust and the support of beer drinkers.
By year's end, Moosehead will stop producing bottled beer and focus exclusively on cans and kegs. Moosehead President and CEO Andrew Olin says the decision reflects the times. According to Moosehead, just 7% of beer drinkers in Canada are twisting off a bottle cap, compared to 85% who are cracking open a can. The amount of can consumers has increased by 20% in the last 5 years alone.
When my great-great-great-grandmother, Susanna Olin, started brewing beer in 1867, we only sold it in kegs. And we didn't start selling in bottles till 1933, and then cans came in the mid-1950s. This will give us time, an opportunity in the years to come to look at either larger cans or smaller cans.
Let's go moonlighting. The bottles have been iconic over the company's years, whether it be the classic green bottle or the old-style stubby. Bottling up that area of production wasn't a decision made lightly by Canada's oldest brewery.
I go back to sort of when we first started talking about it in 2019, and I remember like, that'll never happen. And then it just, you get more and more comfortable with these decisions, and who knows what Moosehead will be selling beer in 50 years from now, but it'll all be the great beer that we brew here at Moosehead.
The company intends to expand its canning capability at the plant. The final bottle run will happen in December and stay on shelves until they're out. To celebrate the end of the bottling era, Moosehead is offering the chance for one lucky fan to own the final bottle ever made here at the brewery. The winner of an online contest, which closes October 27th, will be selected to witness the final production run and take the last ever bottle made home directly off the line. Have to admit, it's a pretty neat little piece of maritime history to be had here.
And that was Avery McRae reporting. Pint-sized pumpkins are popping up in different parts of the country thanks to a dry and hot summer. CTV's Spencer Turcott now on how the smaller squash may alter your fall and Halloween plans.
Vibrant rows of pumpkin varieties are on display at Good Family Pumpkins in Waterloo. But this summer's weather across much of the country hasn't been kind to the plant.
For sure, the lack of rain has definitely, in August, has affected some of the growth.
Karen Good of Good Family Pumpkins says their larger Halloween-type pumpkins have had a bit of a spook because of the dry and hot conditions.
I think with some of our bigger pumpkins, I feel that they're smaller.
Although they've had better luck than others.
For our farm, not as significant as maybe some other farms in Quebec, or PEI was also having some issues.
These ones should be at least 30% bigger.
Philip Quinn of Quinn Farm in Quebec has noticed fewer pumpkins in his patch.
Usually a nice healthy plant will have 5 or 6 fruit on it for this variety and 3 or 4 fruit on it for this variety. But we're seeing plants here with just one single large fruit and then maybe a smaller fruit on it.
It's a similar tale across much of the country. About 71% of Canada was classified as abnormally dry or moderate to extreme aridity according to the Canadian Drought Monitor. So it seems like Good Family Pumpkins may have lucked out considering they haven't taken much of a hit.
Whether it's our soil, whether it's just we got lucky, the varieties we grow, yeah, hard to know.
Meaning more out-of-town customers may be coming Karen's way.
I get people here saying, yeah, my friend has a farm up wherever, up north, and they don't have any pumpkins. It's a total crop failure, and that's like maybe an hour or 2 from here.
So with the spooky season fast approaching, some patches are dealing with the trickiness of little precipitation, others have the treat of an almost normal crop. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Waterloo.
Well, a leading man in Hollywood has died. Still ahead on CTV News at 6. Today, people are remembering Robert Redford, the actor, director, and activist.
Clothing provided by Laura, Melanie Lynn.
Public Health Sudbury Districts has reported an over 2,000% spike in syphilis cases. This is the second alert for people to get tested for the sexually transmitted infection this year. Syphilis can be treated with medication, but without treatment, the infection can cause permanent damage. The health unit is emphasizing the importance of pregnant people getting screened, as babies can contract congenital syphilis from the mother. Public Health Sudbury Districts recommends universal syphilis screening 3 times during pregnancy.
Last year in 2024, we had 2 congenital infections reported to public health. This year, so far, we've had 1 congenital infection reported to public health. And as a context, between 2016 and 2023, we had 0 cases of congenital infections.
Officials at the health unit say that symptoms can be invisible, and they recommend screening, which is confidential to the patient. And the health unit is also warning of a new case of West Nile virus in a bird in Sudbury. This is the second case of West Nile found in an American crow in the Sudbury area this summer. The other case was announced in July. The health unit says while the risk remains low, mosquitoes carry higher levels of the virus this time of year. A recent survey is highlighting a lack of awareness of warning signs and symptoms for gynecological cancers among Canadian women. That story from CTV's Amanda Hicks.
3 years ago, Jennifer Pride went to visit her doctor after experiencing concerning symptoms.
I had an appointment with my doctor for something else, mentioned to him that I had this bleeding, and because I'd gone through menopause several years earlier, he says, yeah, this isn't good.
After a series of tests, Pride was diagnosed with uterine cancer, and a total hysterectomy was recommended to prevent further spread. Now, Pride is cancer-free, but says she never anticipated those symptoms would have led to a diagnosis.
I knew something wasn't right, but I didn't think it was to the extreme that it was going to be. So I think know your body, listen to your body, ask questions when you go to your doctor.
A survey conducted by Leger revealed a majority of Canadian women lack awareness about gynecological cancers, finding 60% of women were unsure if gynecological cancers have early warning signs, 70% would like to see more awareness of the signs and symptoms, and 80% were unaware of risk factors to watch out for.
It happens very frequently that women consult late.
Dr. Luisa Bonilla is a medical oncologist who treats a majority of gynecological malignancy patients at Health Sciences North. She believes there are a lot of reasons why women aren't aware of the warning signs.
We are learning that we women have a completely different type of symptom presentation for any type of disease. And I think that there's also the stereotypes, right? That when women come and consult, and they consult again and again, they are told that their symptoms are in their head, that they tend to be gaslighted.
Pride, meanwhile, says she is grateful her cancer was caught early.
I've lost friends to cancer. I lost my mom to cancer. So I know what that's like and how it could turn out. And I thank God that I am one of the very lucky ones.
Bonilla says it's important to be aware of any changes to your body and to understand your family's history. She adds early diagnosis can make all the difference when it comes to patient outcomes, so speak to your doctor if you have any concerns. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
A new study of our healthcare system looks at the impact of when a cancer diagnosis is made in a hospital ER. CTV's Pauline Chan reports.
Emergency departments are unique. We often provide episodic care, so we only see a patient once and we don't have ways to follow up with patients, make sure that referrals that were sent actually happen.
A recent study by Dr. Kirat Gurwal shows an increasing number of cancer patients are actually being diagnosed during a visit to the emergency room, pointing to the lack of access to family physicians.
We interviewed 20 emergency physicians across Ontario.
The problems range from the environment.
Emergency departments are routinely overcrowded. Patients who have suspected cancer diagnoses are often seen in waiting rooms and hallways, and having these discussions can be difficult for both patients and providers.
To the follow-up, as biopsies are usually required for a cancer confirmation and any referral to an oncologist.
The challenge with the emergency providers is they don't have that continuity with the patient. So they can make the referral, but oftentimes we'll get referral rejections, which is like one of the things that came up in the study.
Gurwal is calling for more standardization of access to screening and care. She points to programs that already screen for breast or lung cancer.
And if you have a patient with suspected lung cancer in the emergency department, you can be fairly confident that they will reliably be followed up in a timely fashion.
We know that screening guidelines are the age is getting younger and younger. And in some of the young adult patients that I care for, we're often reminding them that the goal is to get screening when you feel well.
And Dr. Alicia Kazam says some screening can even be done by self-referral. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Entertainment brought to you by the Cinefest Red Carpet Patron Program.
Sad news from the world of Hollywood. Oscar-winning actor and director Robert Redford has passed away.
Mr. Paul Bratter. Yes. And is Mrs. Bratter staying with you?
My mother? Oh, Mrs. Bratter, yes. Mr. and Mrs. Bratter.
Redford was best known as a go-to leading man of the late 1960s and 70s. He starred in classics like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and All the President's Men. Redford is credited with invigorating American independent cinema as one of the founders of the Sundance Film Festival. His publicist says he died this morning at his home in Utah, surrounded by loved ones. Robert Redford was 89. Ed Sheeran has news about what he's calling his final album, and a Boss biopic is ready for its fall release. Rick Damagella has more in tonight's Hollywood Report.
Ed Sheeran has his final album mapped out. The singer revealed to Apple Music that he's already created the album he wants released after he dies, titled Eject. Sheeran has the album in his will and will let his wife choose the track list.
We are, all of us, drawn to monsters.
Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys team up. The actors star in the new limited series, The Beast in Me. Danes plays a reclusive author determined to find truth about her suspicious new neighbor. The Netflix release premieres November 13th.
It feels different coming home. There's a real emptiness.
The Boss comes to the big screen. Jeremy Allen White portrays Bruce Springsteen in the upcoming biopic Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. This is a new look at the film, which documents the making of the rocker's beloved Nebraska album and arrives in theaters October 24th. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
Despite a strong start to the year, air travel in Sault Ste. Marie is trending downward. The Sault Ste. Marie Airport Development Corporation released a passenger-level report which shows air travel is down nearly 6% compared to August 2024. Overall, though, passenger levels are up by 2,100 passengers since January. Canada's inflation rate edged up slightly in August, with a smaller than expected decrease in gas prices fueling the increase. Statistics Canada reports that the Consumer Price Index rose 1.9% in August, a slight increase from the 1.7% bump in July. Even though gas prices were down compared to last year, the decline was smaller than July. All eyes now turn to the Bank of Canada, which will release its interest rate decision tomorrow. And Rick is back now for one last look at your Wednesday weather.
Okay, Tony, so some sections of northeastern Ontario, as I've been saying this hour, will get rain. Some will get some sun. It's one of those situations where the system moving into the northeast will affect, well, specific areas, perhaps like Sault Ste. Marie and others. But let's take a look at what we can expect for tomorrow. Let's begin in Sudbury. Sudbury Nickel Belt 25, 29 with the Humidex. Now in Timmins, you've got risk of a thunderstorm 24 and a good chance of showers at 60%, 30% chance of shower activity in Sault Ste. Marie. But of course that 60 looks pretty good right now. North Bay, mainly sunny, 24, 25 in Parry Sound. And of course, here we go again. Temiskaming Shores, risk of a thunderstorm, shower activity. And again, the chance of precipitation, Tony, 40%. So take your pick, some rain, some sun. Back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Rick. This week is National Coaches Week, and the Coaches Association of Ontario is honoring 15 exceptional leaders. Among them is Lana Perry, an award-winning archery coach from Sault Ste. Marie. Winners of this year's Ontario Coaching and Excellence Awards not only got recognized at a Toronto Argonauts game over the weekend for all their hard work, but they received funding for new equipment. Perry won Archery Ontario's Joan McDonald Coach of the Year Award in 2023. And finally, taking a break from our newscast for a moment to celebrate our director, Lillian, who has been started her career at CTV in Master Control and has moved up the ranks. Her impact is felt in every newscast, even today, as she directs from the control room. Lily has shown up every day with extreme dedication, training, and coaching many of us, which is why we wanted to take a second to celebrate her.
She's beloved. And obviously, again, she's a part of the community, and she's been a part of this TV station, and someone who most people who watch the news wouldn't recognize because she's behind the camera, but this clearly shows how respected and how well loved she is within this team.
Knowing the people that I work with, the dedication that they bring into our newscast every single day, and how different it is every single day, that drives me. That perfection that we all go after, and bringing that to fruition and putting it on air for an hour and a half a day, I want to come in every single day.
And congratulations on your Bell Bravo Award, Lily. Well deserved, and thank you for always showing up here and your years of service. And that's CTV News at 6. I'm Tony Ryma. More news comes your way at 11:30 with Ian Campbell. Good night.